This might be the best speaker amp you can have in your music studio. It's called the Ultima Pro 500 and it's by Chord Electronics. And in today's video, we're gonna find out exactly what makes this amp so special. So first things first, how exactly did I get my hands on the Pro 500? Well, as you can see, I have these white speakers behind my head. They're the Model 6s by a company called Chord Audio, and they're passive speakers. And I was given the opportunity to try out these speakers. I fell in love with them and now I own a pair of these speakers. If you want to know more about those speakers, I'll have a video linked below. But I needed an amp to obviously power them because they're passive speakers, and up until that point I'd only been using active speakers. So I shouted my good friend Tom at Chord Electronics and said, hey bro, I need this amp. He was like, we have this amp, it's probably a bit overkill for your system because this can power an awful lot of speaker, but let me send it to you because it's an amazing piece of gear and it would definitely do the job. Anyway, he sent it to me and obviously this beautiful unit turned up. The design of it from the front is stunning and from the back. And I hooked it up and instantly I was blown away by its performance. The quality and sound this amp can produce and pairing it up with the Chord speakers really gave my speakers the best amplification. I could tell straight away. The build quality of this unit is absolutely incredible as well, with this clean front panel and very addictive twirly power knob that you can click on and off, which is very nice touch. Even with the Chord logo stamped in metal on the front. And with the back of the unit obviously not normally shown, where you connect your ins and outs, being absolutely stunning as well and very, very well thought out. It's a super user-friendly but seriously powerful piece of gear. But as far as how great it looks and how amazing it sounds, there's not much more I can tell you personally about the Ultima Pro 500. So I took a trip down to the Chord HQ and hear from one of my good friends, Tom at Chord, who actually helps design and build the Chord Ultima Pros, and find out exactly what's going on under the hood and why this amp is so special. Okay guys, so I'm actually now here at the Chord HQ with my good friend Tom.
Good to see you again, man.
And you, as always. And Tom is going to tell us a little bit more about the Ultima Pro 500, which I have had in my studio for a couple of months now and I've been absolutely loving. And I have no idea how it works. I have no idea why it sounds so good. And I wanted to make a video for you guys at home and I thought, well, I am not qualified enough to do this video. So I'm gonna come and find out from the man himself. So we've got some components here in front of us.
We certainly do. Yeah, man. So, I mean, one thing that I always find a lot, certainly with regards to studio life, is the amplifiers are always sort of like an afterthought. Be it in in active speakers or whether it's a passive system, the first thing that hits you, you go, oh my God, these speakers are huge, look at these sound amazing. Now, one thing that lots of people always forget about is the fact that speakers will only ever do what the electronics prior to them tell them to do. So amplifiers are a pretty key part in all of that. So we specialize in power amplifier manufacturing and design and have done for over 35 years. So I'll just run through a few little bits here that go into the Ultima Pro 500.
Amazing.
Yeah, and give you a detail as to what makes a Chord amplifier something a little bit more special than, say, your standard power amp that you might find in a I don't know, a charity shop or something along those lines.
Yeah, we're not dissing any, we're not going to start any beef with any other companies.
Absolutely not. No, we're all.
But you know who you are. I'm joking.
No comment. No comment. So obviously the core of a power amplifier is its power supply. That's where all of the actual juice comes from. We're not like standard manufacturers. We utilize switch mode power supply design. Have done for all of the years that Chord Electronics has been running for. And a lot of power amplifier design comes from linear power supplies. Now they're considered to be cleaner. And inherently, during historical times, yes, they were cleaner because switch modes can be and are known as being noisy.
Right.
However, if you design them well and super properly, then that's a great English there, super properly, which is what
Don't
we
worry,
do.
they're used to it on this channel. I speak absolute nonsense most of the time.
They are some of the best power delivery for size and form and function that you can get, and also some of the cleanest power you can get as well. So this particular design, this is a 2 kilowatt power supply. Now, if you were to get a toroidal power supply or transformer in a device of this power, you'd be looking at a transformer that's about this big. It's huge, weighs an absolute ton.
So
this
about
is
half the size.
About half the size and about a tenth of the weight.
Right.
So it's significantly lighter and way more efficient as well.
Oh, it is quite light, yeah. For what it is.
For what it is, yeah, 2 kilowatts is a lot of power. So obviously a key part of that is when we say switch mode power supply design, that is where you have a switching circuit. Now lots of people say, oh, why would you have a switching circuit in audio? Because it generates noise and frequency and all this sort of stuff, but all you have to do is filter it out, and you have to filter it out well. So I'm just going to dive really quickly into the actual power supply design. So we have over here, mains in, and then this, ironically, or unironically as some cases may be, actually gets filtered. So that's what this lot here is. This big section here is all mains filter. So as you're switching away, this mains gets filtered in, it gets chopped up, gets cut and shut, as it were, by this little section here, and then it gets passed through to these transformers and then further filters over in this part here before it gets spat out the other end. So as I said, switch modes, they do run at a certain frequency. These ones run at 80 kilohertz, so obviously well out of the audio range, which isn't a problem. But then, even then, you know, we're not an advocate for noise being injected onto DC circuits or AC circuits. So the filtering on the output here helps to eliminate that entirely. Now you might think, well, what about mains filtering and all this sort of stuff? As I previously mentioned, this filters the mains in, but because it's a passive circuit, it also filters anything that might be generated in this bit here.
So it's being filtered twice.
Exactly that.
Right, literally just cover to cover, right.
Indeed. So these are super clean, super powerful switch mode power supply designs. So this is a 2 kilowatt design that we have.
And this is quite a unique way of doing it in the amplifier world.
In the amplifier world, I mean, relatively, if you look in, say, well, I can't name names, a larger brand of speaker manufacturer that is used in pretty much every studio. Some might know them with white cones. If you use those speakers and their power amplifier, for example, those sort of, they have switch modes in them, but they're very basic, and they're nowhere near as powerful and or have as much filtering as these do. So this is a very advanced switch mode power supply.
Amazing.
Which goes into everything up to the Ultima 5, or the Ultima Pro 500 in the professional
So
case.
you use this same system in various units?
Indeed,
right?
yes, absolutely. So that's the power supply. So it comes out the end over here and actually gets fed into a bank of capacitors. Now, a bank of caps, you might look at it and go, well, why have you got so many? And there's good reason. There is good reason.
It looks like a scene out of the Matrix.
It does a bit. So lots, again, it's down to budget really. We are an uncompromised company. We like to do things well, and we strive for the best sound that we can possibly achieve. So that's, for example, goes into the thought concept behind a bank of caps. Now you can get larger capacitors with much more capacitance in them, which are the equivalent price of one of these, for example.
Right.
But the problem with those is that they are relatively slow at delivering power. So when you have lots of little ones, you actually share that power delivery. It's called ESR. It's the resistance that the circuit sees in a capacitor. If you have lots of them, it lowers that massively. So when you demand a lot of power very quickly, it's there to deliver it without any hesitation at all.
Yeah, you're not going to overload one central unit, right?
Exactly.
It's going to spread the load across all of these smaller units.
Exactly that. And the other thing is reliability. Chord Electronics, we've been going for 35 years. There are some amplifiers out there in the studio that have been out there for 30 years and they've never been turned off. And one of the key parts is reliability. Now, when you have lots of little ones, if one cap fails or starts to fail in all of these, the others around it will pick up the stress that that one can no longer sustain. So all of a sudden you're looking at way more reliability, essentially redundancy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you know, you're going to, if all of those fail,
then something's gone horribly wrong.
this sounds more like a user error to me.
Indeed, yeah. So this is a bank of caps that goes into one of these units. Lots of capacitance, lots of power delivery, very, very quick, very, very fast. So that's why we have a bank of caps there. It is more expensive, but it's worth it in our opinion. Reliability and performance. So that's the energy storage. They're the two, energy generation and energy storage. So they're the basic bits of a circuit that go into a power amplifier. And then from there you have to think about making a small signal into a really big one with lots of juice.
Yeah.
So this is where...
More than enough juice.
More than enough juice, indeed, yeah. So this is where the small signal part of the circuit comes from. So this is an amp board. Most amplifiers are relatively basic when it comes to it. You've just got to get the fundamental parts correct. So this is a stereo amp board and it's literally a divide down the middle. So you can see this circuit is a clone of this circuit over here.
Left, right.
Indeed, yeah, stereo amplifier. So it's left, right, we have two XLRs that then feed into the front bits here. You can see it in this, that's what these signal cables are just here.
Yeah.
And then it goes for a small buffer stage just over here, and then it goes for a series of current mirrors to make the signal a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger again, and then it gets passed through to the main output MOSFETs. Now what's special about our amplifier technology is the latest iteration, which is the Ultima part, the Ultima technology is what we like to call it. It's dual feed-forward error correction. So to take it back just a fraction, we have amplification process, and when you make a small signal into a big one, you get errors. You cannot avoid it, no matter who you are, no matter how good you think you are at your amplification, what type of design of power amplifier you're using, it being A, B, G class, you've got digital amplifiers, all this sort of thing. When you make a small signal into a big one, you get errors. So this is what the dual feed forward error correction does. It looks at the original signal, looks at what the amplified signal is, looks at what there shouldn't be in there, and feeds it back and eliminates it.
Okay.
So you get super clean, super fast power that is the signal, which is constantly being monitored and analysed and corrected.
Wow.
Indeed. Yeah.
I did not know that something like that went into these things. That is insane.
This is the thing with amplification technology, man. It's just one of those things that so many people forget about. And there's a lot of brains that go into making sure that signal is the most accurate we can get it and deliver it to the speaker as best as we possibly can. So as I mentioned, you know, small signal, a little bit bigger again, and then it gets fed to the main MOSFETs, which are fed on these blocks here. These are the actual MOSFETs themselves. These are actually a custom design for us at Chord Electronics. John Franks was the original designer.
Right.
They're metal can TO3. They're about 200 watts per can, so they're very, very powerful. Loads and loads of headroom and space available for them. And they're 2 MOSFETs per can as well. So you get 2 N channels, so 4 N channels, and then 4 P channels per block, and then it's 2 blocks per channel.
Right.
So you get so many MOSFETs in one of these devices.
Yeah.
And the power handling is absolutely unreal.
Yeah.
So a combination of all of these things, it's
creating a unparalleled, you know, clean and transparent signal.
Yeah,
right,
man.
that's the goal.
And that is the goal. The power rail and delivery, when it comes to the combination of everything that we have here, and it's the actual power supply technology again, where we don't lock our power rails. So they're plus or minus 100 volt, 90 volts in this unit, 110 volts in the other unit. And what happens when you clip an amplifier is those rails are locked, and you push it, and then the waveform squares off and the power supply just starts collapsing in like this.
Right.
Now, when you really push one of our power amplifiers, low frequencies, whatever you want to do, and you get a massive great spike in, say, the positive part of the waveform or the negative part of the waveform, what the power supply can do is actually, because we don't lock the rails, can actually draw, the negative rail can draw on the positive one, or the positive one can draw on the negative one.
Okay, because they can talk to each other.
Exactly, so all of a sudden your rails are shifting, which means that you don't get a clip, you don't get a distortion in the low end, you get absolute control to be able to push that.
Well, I'm glad you've butted in and put that in, because that is a key part of that, and that is a definite sell on these units as well. So.
Lots of people forget about with amplifier technology, which is why, valves have a place. Guitar amps, great valves. When it comes to monitoring, certainly in a studio, when it comes to professional as well, speed and accuracy,
transparency,
is absolutely everything. Transparency. You need to hear what's happening in there. You put a valve amp in because you wanted to hear the distortion in a guitar a certain way. The last thing you want is your amp.
My monitors that I'm actually referencing on and designing on to be coloured in any way.
Exactly that, yeah. So this is why, we design the fastest and cleanest power amplifiers on the market. The frequency response is something like 3 Hertz to 80 kilohertz, completely
amazing.
flat.
Yeah.
And that's equal power delivery across those frequencies as well.
So really, no matter what speaker you're pairing them up with, you're going to be getting the truest version of that speaker with these amps. Yeah.
Exactly that. It's all about that control, all about what that speaker cone is being told to do by the power amplifier.
Yeah, and I mean this unit in itself, has, I don't know, 4 or 5 times the amount of power that what I actually need for my speakers.
Indeed. Loads of headroom, man.
I never have to worry, or the only thing I have to worry about is maybe blowing up my speakers if I play them too loud. But it is just a serious unit. And obviously I was totally uneducated into just what went in these things. So, thank you so much for breaking all that stuff down to me. And I have a whole new level of appreciation for the unit sitting in my studio at the minute. But just even down to the aesthetics and the outside and how clean it looks and how simple it is. It's one button, super easy, you're on, and it's so clean, and it fits the design fits the equipment inside 100%. It's very definite. Everything just feels very authoritative and reliable, clean and precise. I mean, that all being said, with all this stuff, you guys have seen at the beginning of this video, I'm using one in my studio with a great pair of speakers, new company, British made as well, Ward Audio. And I absolutely love it, and now obviously I'm in even more in love with it, with just knowing how much goes into it and how the thought process and how much care has gone into making this. So I now even have more confidence knowing that I am hearing exactly what I need to hear out of my speakers. And I couldn't recommend them enough. So you guys at home, if you're in the market for an amplifier, and you want that reliability, Chord is definitely the place to go 100%. And I'll have Chord website and maybe a contact linked below, so you guys can get in contact with them. You can check out all their other amplifiers because they've got so many. They also have hi-fi systems as well. They don't just make pro units for us studio nerds, but they do for hi-fi nerds as well, because we're all kind of nerds when we get into it like this. But yeah, brilliant company. Thank you so much for having me here in this amazing space.
Of course, dude.
Depending on when this video comes out, there might be a tour coming out, or there might already have been a tour out. So make sure you check that video. Whenever it's out, I'll have it linked below as well. And yeah, make sure you check out Chord, try out some stuff. They're amazing, honestly, super reliable. And in my opinion, you buy a unit like this, it is, it's an investment and it's a piece for life, right? You can rely on it. So you're not gonna have to replace it in a couple of years' time. So amazing company and amazing units and amazing products. So yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
On that note, make sure you like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Leave some comments below, because we'll have Tom probably peeping on the YouTube comments, and maybe he'll answer some for you, because I'm probably not educated enough to answer those questions for you, but Tom and the rest of the Chord team might. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Safe.